Hello. I normally prepare better when I'm going to make a live stream. I try and pick a topic and think, yeah. I'm not qualified, but there's enough questions within me to open up a discussion to the world. But what's going on at the moment for this live stream is lots of different things. And maybe it is the solstice energy. What happens on the longest day of the year, how it affects the human mind and psyche on a subconscious level that we don't make notes of at the time when it's happening, to realize, oh no, this happens every year around this time, or most times. We haven't got that awareness in us to take note of yearly events with nature. So maybe we rewind the live streams I've been making after this and have a look back and see what comments were made on past solstices. See where my psyche was. Is there any connection? But we've got a few different areas. We've got the solstice going on, and we've got a really mixed up. I'm gonna put a coffee on at the same time. We've got a really mixed up, how would you call it, geopolitical situation. I don't know how best to describe it otherwise. What's going on with Iran, Israel, Palestine, the Middle East, Russia, Ukraine. There's wars in Africa. One of them's just had I think they've just signed a peace agreement, a ceasefire agreement, Rwanda. But we've got lots of horrible, nasty energies on the world scene that have sort of made any personal experience of the solstice somewhat put on the back burner. And that brings us into love and life. I mean, love and life is where we need to live, no? It's where we are as human beings. It's what well, imagine being born in this world without love. That's a pretty harsh place to live. So we could call love a birthright. But within that birthright, love has different qualities. And one of the qualities of love is solidarity. To be there with those who are your brothers, who are our brothers and sisters, because they're human and they're suffering worse than our situation and circumstance. And in that place, it's half appropriate to do our best, to do one's best, to stay as close to the other's suffering as possible. In other words, my life is great, my life is fantastic, but right now, what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in Africa, in the Ukraine, is really not a nice thing for any human being to experience. And there are different sides to it. There always are with politics. And that's why I don't like politics. It just makes it easy to hide the love. Politics says, yeah, but to love. Keep it simple, innit? I'm about to murder this person. Is that a red line? I've got good reasons why I'm going to murder them. I've got good reasons why I'm going to murder them because the world supports that justification. But the point is, we're not the world's, just the world. Or at least we are, and we don't realise that, by claiming that we're the world. So, how is that possible? How is that possible? We're the world. The whole point is to be there in solidarity. But to be there in solidarity, we're not really being there in solidarity. Because the moment we try to be the world, we lose it. How can you be the world? How can anyone be the world? When the world is infinite. The world is 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 1,000,000 billion years ago before humanity stepped foot on the planet. The world is in the future, all the way until infinity, until the world blows up and we find another home somewhere else. We are the world. We're not a slither of time. We're not a snapshot of what we understand of the world in the present moment. In other words, there's people there, and love says be in solidarity to them. But maybe that's just not understanding a practical application of solidarity. From my perspective, solidarity means, oh, this person is suffering, I better not be happy. I better keep my solidarity in a tone, an emotional tone that matches them, on a mental level where I'm contemplating them and thinking of them, and my concern is with them. I'm sending my love and my energy to them in any which way I can access something that says, I love all of humanity, and yet what I am doing, it seems like my life is blessed at the moment to my brothers and sisters. And that's not right. But I can't really do anything to make my life worse, can I? What am I going to do to my life to make it worse, to make it better? In other words, we're doing solidarity with people because we want to make our lives better. On a mental level, we all know we are human. We all have 2 arms, 2 legs and a head. Please forgive me to anyone that's had an amputation or for another reason without 2 arms, 2 legs and a head. The point is, even without 2 arms, 2 legs, we've all got heads. And it's to use the head to understand what that statement is saying. No offense to anybody, but we're all human. And that is inbuilt. That's the one thing we recognize. We look at our own body, and it comes from a specific angle and perspective of our eyes. That's what we see. We can feel our body, we can smell our body, we could taste our body too. We can hear our body as well. That's what we understand of reality. How does that work? What are all the signals within the body that make that possible, that we can touch, hear, smell, taste, and feel our own bodies? Yet we don't understand the in-between bit, how the finality of sight, smell, taste, sound, touch result in 5 separate events, but they're all coming through the same body. Why can I not feel my taste? Why can I not? So we've got all of the questions about senses. What is real? And unless you've done some strange practice in this life, or you've unlocked some element of mastery of the human body, it's always going to come back to that situation. We've got 5 senses all coming through the same body but appearing separate. And that's what we know as reality. Now we have to comprehend another person, their senses, how they tune into senses and decode the reality as well. And somewhere in the middle, we're able to interact. But my estimation is, I don't know exactly how my body hears the 5 senses. I don't know how that other person does it. So somehow, when we meet in the middle space, and we start getting sound and language that's helped to fill that space, and get a false confidence within that space, there are inevitably going to be errors. In other words, what I don't understand about my own human body, why I'm able to have these 5 gifts, these 5 senses, and so is this other person. And then we meet, but we don't really understand ourselves in the first place. So when we meet, and most of the time language will take care of it. But language only goes so far. It really, really does. How many words are there in your language? Where do those words originate from? What do they mean? What is their etymology? What is the meaning of each and every word? Where did it get its name from? Nobody understands the dictionary to that level, do they? Who understands the dictionary to that level? Well, if you understand the dictionary to that level, you've obviously put in the time that I'm never going to do. I say never, and I might have to, because when I meet with people, I find one of 2 things. I either have to exert more energy than I have to error correct that space in the middle, or there's some sort of friction and fight or error. So I either have to give more energy to fix the error, or we let the error run and respond to it. If I respond to it, there's a lack of consciousness there, and it's better to be in control of it. But there's a way to perceive responding with consciousness. And when it comes to energy conservation, having a conscious reactionary mode for myself is far more economical. That really is how we operate. The space between our errors. Are we going to put more energy into fixing those errors when they arise? Or are we going to let them run because language is an indoctrination and a slave? And it's imperfect, and it requires us to expend more energy to fill the void. But who's ever going to read the dictionary in the first place to make that an effortless pursuit? Nobody. So we're running errors when we meet. I'll do my best to try and remember how we got onto the space between. Well, let's run from where we are. Let's see if we can get back on course. My mind goes blank sometimes, and it was resting on going blank 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then it went blank. So I'm just going to take a minute to recenter. It's getting better. Basically, all of these weird things are going on at the same time. We've got the solstice, all the energies that we don't understand about the human body, how it relates to the solstice. The longest day of the year. Think about how you feel on the longest day of the year and on the shortest day of the year. Totally different person, isn't it? But we don't remember clearly in our mind how different that experience feels. So we just label it, oh, summer, winter. Summer, winter. But hang on a second. You want to tell me Gabriel, you're just being silly. It's just summer, it's just winter. It's 2 different times of the year. Of course they're going to be different. Well, what is that difference? What is that difference? Because if we are so different, the experience is so different, and in that moment I'm in winter and someone says to me, remember what it was like in the peak of summer. And when you're in summer, remember what it was like in the peak of winter. You're going to think, right, okay, and we think of all the difference on the outside, the cold, the darkness, maybe a different diet, we eat differently with the seasons. Maybe our lives look different. The sun's out today, beautiful day for the park, spending some time outside. In winter, all we want to do is curl up and be inside, stay warm, at least certain parts of the world. The point is, we're sort of dependent upon the outside, isn't it? To describe winter, to describe ourselves in winter, we look to all of those external circumstances. To describe ourselves in summer, we look to all the external circumstances, how they affect us, because we don't know our bodies. And those are the easiest ways to say, this is what's going on for your body. This is what's going on for your body. But we are our bodies. And we don't know what's going on for our bodies. It's a bit like saying, well, I don't know what's going on for my mind, isn't it? My mind is in my body, my mind is in my brain, and my brain is in my body, and my brain is a part of my body. I don't know how my brain talks to my body. And we're subject to a wish-wash of different energies put upon us that we can't get a full picture of. So we've got the solstice today. I was going to write happy solstice, but then in solidarity to my brothers and sisters around the world who are going to be almost impossible to hear happy solstice, it's just the solstice. So the tone changes of the conversation. What I'm getting at is, how is it that someone decides to act in solidarity with someone else when we don't even know our own bodies first. To say being in solidarity is the most practical thing in this moment with regards to this situation. But in honesty, all it is, the way most people apply solidarity, is a band-aid for our own life. A plaster to cover that pain, emotional pain of, oh, my life is better at the moment than my brothers and sisters in other countries. Quite a lot better if there's an active war. Imagine the terror. When the truth is, I don't know the truth, but I'm going to surmise my best efforts to give a picture. Love is a human birthright. And if someone has been brought up in a world, in their own world, where there's love around them, and they understand love, they know it inside. They then go to the world and apply what they understand of love. And it's solidarity everywhere, especially if you live in London or America, one of the top, most affluent countries in the world. You're constantly looking at the world and they're below you. How are you going to manage that? How are we going to do it? Are we going to live like the rest of the world? Oh, okay, they live on $2 a day. I better live on $2 a day. I try and go and spend my $2 in the shop and I get a penny sweet. It's not really going to work. So then we try and justify it, and it's all a bit crap. But if we understand love in the first instance, and if we go at the world with sincerity, with that love, and instead of applying a reactive band-aid plaster, where we say, my brothers and sisters are in pain over there. My brothers and sisters are in pain over there. I better be miserable too. Instead of looking at the picture and realizing, no. I live in one of the most affluent countries in the world. That as a birthright gives me a lot of power and control. If I can get this confusion of a mind-body connection into gear and just do my absolute best to be proactively there to remove the problem. In other words, what is someone going to do with a single life to sort the world out? And the answer is, love is a birthright. In other words, the power that love will give a human being that doesn't know its own body and mind is a lot of energy that can be used as good and it can be used for bad. So if we understand love as a birthright and we keep it really simple to what love is, we all, whoever's been blessed with love in their life, goes to the world and applies that love to try and change the world for the better. And if all we manage to do in our life is live our own lives, and it looks like solidarity, I just try not to be too happy, then that's fine. That's good. That's amazing. That's the best someone could achieve. But they've lived a life where they've tried to achieve the most, and that's what it looks like. It's not like I'm living a life where I'm trying to achieve a life for myself first and then find a way to medicate how to manage the band-aids. That mentality is wrong. when it comes from love first, and we try to do our utmost, knowing, just being in solidarity, it's a bit shit, to be honest. Doesn't really do anything, does it? Needs something a bit more, and or your best effort to say, no, 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 this is the best I can do. There's 8 billion of us. What percentage of us are blessed with love in our lives? It's a birthright. There are lives out there that don't get blessed with it. But some way, shape or form, most of us get it. So in other words, within all of the confusion, the solstice energy, the world craziness going on, what's appropriate to do in response to that, and to try and live life and have love at the same time. You know, the love doesn't have to die. You just have to be proactive with it. Well, that's what came out anyway today. It was just to make a live stream to share something. Yeah, and I'll share it here as well. You know, they're talking about Iran and nuclear, but I gave up worrying about nuclear a few years ago. Essentially, when it comes to nuclear, aliens will only step in and save us the moment a nuclear bomb is fired. Don't ask me if that's just before it's fired, as it's fired, if it's in the air, I don't know. All I know is that's what I've discovered in my spirituality. So, yeah. Imagine looking at our lives and picking out all the love we've received and putting it in a massive pile of love. And then ask ourselves, if I gave you more love, but it had to be different, it had to be different. In other words, I'll give you more love. I'm not going to tell you how much more love, but it's more. To a practical mind, the practicality says, take it, deal. Deal or no deal, I'm going to give you more love. I'm not going to tell you how much more love, but your life will have more love. More love is better. It's practical. It makes life better. But you have to change all the love that you've ever received. It's going to look totally different. If you said, no deal, that's it. You're assigned to a life of proactive love for the world. If you said, no deal, deal, I take the love, you get a holiday. Don't worry about the world. Deal with yourself. You need some more love. I think that's a pretty fair way to do it, isn't it? If you come into that place where you're like, no, I have love in my life, then get on with the work of sorting the world out. If you're like, no, love isn't supporting me at the moment, my life is loveless, I'm just going to take this as a sabbatical from work, waiting for love to sort itself out in my own life to go back to work for the world. In other words, what we just found out is that most of us, my belief is most of us, I haven't done the surveys yet, got all the numbers and the percentages, but my theory is we wouldn't trade our own love, because that's us. We wouldn't trade our own pile of love for more love, even though that makes sense on a logical, practical basis to what love means. In other words, it's an insane decision to say, no, I'm not going to trade my love. We can argue it, but at the end of the day, it's because it's our love, and that's us. We're not going to trade ourselves, that's why. But it's an insane decision in this world to say, I'm going to give you more money, but this money is going to be in Bitcoin. Not what you know. Would you take it? Not a lot of people know about Bitcoin. If you know about Bitcoin, stay out of this. You don't know about Bitcoin. I'm going to give you more money, but it's in Bitcoin. Deal or no deal. You give me all your money, I give you more money in Bitcoin. You play it safe. So in other words, our ignorance of more love makes us play safe. But more love is more love. It's really simple. So we kind of split love into two. And asking ourselves, well, where do we rest in love? But I'm telling you now, if you're not going to trade your own pile of love for more love, then you have all the love and fire in the world already. You know your gold now. Your gold is basically your love. Nobody else's. Clearly defined to ourselves. And 9 times out of 10, maybe more, who knows the numbers, we wouldn't trade it for more because it's ours. That's all we need. That is all we need. Look at that, feel that, taste that, smell that, eat that. Do whatever you want, whatever one I'm missing out, do that one too. But go out the world with all the love you've been given and claim that you know the love. You know the love now. You got your pile of love. That's it, I'm good, I'm ready to go. I'm going at the world now. The world's going to feel my pile of love upon it. There's 8 billion of us. That's all it is, to know our own love. The mind sorts itself out. And that proactiveness to making amendments in the world happens naturally. If we keep it simple to love. Got a new coffee today, Guatemala. I was in the coffee shop and I said, right, I need another coffee. I'm going to have to end the live stream. That was my alarm. I've got an eBay auction I need to snipe at the last minute. I try and get more from life by saving a few pennies on eBay by sniping the bid in the last 4 seconds. And if I lose, I lose. But anyway, I was in the supermarket and I was looking at coffee. And I got a Guatemalan coffee. Guatemalan coffee always says, if you don't know what coffee you want, Guatemalan coffee is the best bet. It's the safest bet. But there were a lot of coffees there. Did I make the right choice? Did I make the wrong choice? I don't know. But if you could feel the fire and love inside of me of how I'm going to the world, of what this geopolitical situation and mess of a world do to somebody that thinks about it and has tried to avoid thinking about it their whole life because they just realise the political system is being abused. Democracy is as far removed from whatever democracy could possibly have been imagined to look like as a successful system, is as far removed as that as possible to still be functional. I've tried to avoid it. And now I've gone to it. But it's the right time. I've been trying to take my fire, take my love to the world for many years, and it hasn't worked. And last year I realised, no, I'm going to the world now. It's my time. The world is going to feel it. And it just so happens my life aligns, the stars align, and I get into politics because I've got nothing else in my life to occupy my mind with. So I put the news on, and I've had to get the relationship right. I don't like news at all. I don't like politics. But I've had nothing else to do. So I've got it healthy and in check, or I'm getting it healthier and in check. And it's all going to be translated through politics and geopolitics and what's going on with the world. I never cared about the wars. It was always the same. Oh, just another war. The corrupt people in power making the lives of the many miserable. Well, it's my time to go out the world with my love. I've got my little pile, and I'm not going to sit down and be miserable because my brothers and my sisters around the world are suffering horrific, unimaginable circumstances to what I consider life. No, I'm not going to sit here and mope about and be miserable. I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to do something. Luckily, this life is unemployed, claiming benefits due to health problems. But I'm going to try and reverse all of that because I've said now's the time to make the change. I don't need any more love. No deal.